Welcome to Comic Book Club. I guess I can make us all big for a second. I just kind of... All right. So this week we're doing Year 1 Doomsday. And it was my choice. So I will start off the review. All right. So this is like 4 or 5 stories put together in one pretty thick book for a comic.
Is it like 50 pages? How many pages was it? It was like a lot.
Yeah, it was at least 50.
It was 48, I think.
48? Okay.
If it was an annual in the 90s, that's usually the size.
Yeah, 1995 annual. I'll start off with saying it was Glenn Whitmore colors for this story. The first one, Kevin Cunningham letters, Chris Duffy editor, Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. So the first story is like, it was like
hippie convention.
Yeah, the time lapse kind of jumps all over the place. So this was after the Doomsday. After Doomsday event on Earth, and all of like the victims and people that want to remember came to the spot where he crashed down. And I'm just going to point out parts of the comic I found interesting. I'm going to leave a lot of the story for my fellow comrades to point out things in. So this was the kid with the ball cap and the hat. He comes back and he's kind of like having a little hissy fit or whatever.
So, okay, who was he before? Like, give me some context on like.
He was in the Death of Superman story.
Yeah.
His family was he was like a big Guy Gardner fan, and he hated Superman. And Doomsday just happened to walk through their house and nearly killed his mom and his infant sister, and Superman saved his life. And so now he's Superman changed his he changed his tune about Superman.
I kind of gathered that from this story, but I didn't gather.
He also shows up in funeral. He also shows up in funeral for a friend, and says thank you to the coffin or whatever it was.
Okay.
So if you remember, during Death of Superman again, the scene where Doomsday punches the semi. This is the wife of the guy that Doomsday punches, which was interesting. I like that part. Then they decide to start filling up the hole with rocks. They're like, we don't want to remember this at all. Let's bury the hole, no. And then some soldiers showed up and said, oh, get away from this. This is like radioactive. Then Superman comes down and kind of does his Superman thing. And he's like, there once was a story about a man named Jed. No, he didn't do that.
Similar, close. That's not bad.
Yeah.
He is a farmer.
Shot a hole in the earth to keep his family fed. Something like that.
But it goes into that framework narrative where it's like Superman telling a story of Doomsday, I guess.
Right. And so this next story is titled Showdown, and you got Darkseid. And my favorite part of this panel is Chapter 1 by Dan Jurgens, story and layout, Brett Breedings, inker, New Gods created by good old Jack Kirby. So this is like a Dan Jurgens creation versus Jack Kirby creation, And Kirby and his homies are they're plotting out taking over a planet kind of deal. They come to it, and they're not quite happy that they're coming, So,
well, it's a forced wedding.
Oh, it's a forced wedding?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Darkseid has to marry the girl. Because they can't just blow up the planet and take the minerals. They have to. If they do that, the minerals are too vulnerable to any kind of
and they'll blow up too. Basically,
they'll blow up too. So they have to have a more peaceful way of taking the minerals.
So while he's there, a ship approaches and crash lands, and Now in Hunter Prey, wasn't Darkseid in Hunter Prey too?
Yeah.
Yeah, this takes place before Hunter Prey.
So when he meets him,
I didn't know the connection.
This is the first time they meet right here, I think.
I'm surprised this happens before Hunter Prey because they mention the silver dude.
No, so Superman's telling the story of how Doomsday ended up on Earth, basically, and he's doing it step by step, based on how he learned things.
Yeah, but I'm surprised this happened after Hunter Prey because in Hunter Prey the silver guy dies.
Well, it depends on what story you're going by. This story specifically is before Hunter Prey.
Yeah, it's before Hunter Prey. Yeah,
the one before it was after.
Yes. Okay. But this book came out. I mean, this book itself, the whole comic came out after Hunter Prey, though.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was getting.
There's two editors' notes. There's two editors' notes that say see Superman, Doomsday, Hunter Prey.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave some bit of the story for y'all, but like I said, I'm gonna point out a couple things I like. So here comes Doomsday.
Like that's supposed to be the first story is 250,000 years ago. Was this supposed to be?
No, I can't believe Darkseid's that old.
He doesn't show it. He's got a little bit of wrinkles, but not too bad.
Okay, so Darkseid's partner here, right here, is going at Doomsday, and Doomsday just violates him, right? And
he just shows the helmet. He's like,
according to the text, they say like some very horrible things happened to him.
Yeah, he pretty much he did it him.
Yeah.
And the look on Darkseid's face too, just like that face right there.
Yeah,
well, supposedly this is the first time in the history of Darkseid that he's ever had fear.
Yeah, there's only one other time I can think of in comic books, and that's when he loses at the end of the Great Darkness with the Legion. He's got that look of, how come I'm not winning? Like,
so they were getting ready to do some naked man wrestling.
Man wrestling.
One man dressed, the other man butthole naked. And they took a few minutes to think about it. They're like, this is going to be a good battle, blah, blah, blah. And then the other guy's like, hey, Darkseid, the planet's going to blow up. It's all fucked up now. We got to go. And so that's kind of the end of that one. Well, not really, but so he jumps towards the ship, and then he at the end of it, like he hitches a ride, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay.
Hitches a ride with another escape vehicle.
Yeah.
Then they're having like this gladiatorial battle between Black and Red.
Yeah, this is the Huns.
And Doomsday pops up, and he fucks up.
This is literally like where he landed next, like is what they're getting at.
Right.
Yeah. He lands on planets and then destroys them, basically.
Like everyone. He had a really tough year this year. This one guy, he's like, I need to get some hardcore armor to be able to battle this guy. So he went from whatever color he was to gold. And it's some like ancient, very strong armor or some shit. And that wasn't good enough either. Like Doomsday threw his ass out of the ship. So that's kind of that.
He was just trying to get him on the ship to get him off the planet, basically. That was the goal.
Yeah.
And then we get to the Green Lantern Corps version of the story, which might be one of the coolest.
Corpse is probably the best way to say it, actually.
I was just thinking the same thing.
In this case, it's actually Corp, but Corpse actually makes sense.
I like this part right here, where it looks like he actually has the ring on.
He does have the ring on.
Yeah, Doomsday.
Can you imagine a Doomsday with a fucking Green Lantern ring on?
That was a big problem for them. That's what happened.
Sheesh.
It pretty much says he kills like hundreds of them and decimates thousands of them.
He decimates the core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took one of the guardians of the Green Lantern to like calm his little ass down a little bit, you know?
Well, yeah, and even that didn't work that well.
It kind of worked.
It knocked him off of Oa, is what it did. He just kicked him off the planet.
Right. And then we get to the story about the Radiant at the end.
Yeah,
And-
which is the one that was in the other book.
Right.
No.
And this kind of explains the people that, and here's the actual stuff that
Yeah, I
we
was trying to
saw
remember the Silver Surfer guy's name. Radiant.
right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Radiant, yeah. And that's kind of the end of the whole shebang
The
right
whole
there.
time I'm thinking Silver Surfer, but it's Radiant.
It is very Silver Surfer like, and the Radiant has spoken. So, my grade for the cover, I'm gonna go 3.25. BIG, 3.25. Oops, 3.25. Okay, so inside art, I'm gonna go 3. 3 for this one. Story, it does a pretty good job. It's not the longest story. I felt like it was a quick read for as amount of pages there was.
Mhm.
I think the lantern part was the most ready part of it.
That's probably my favorite part.
Oh, really?
It was pretty cool when he had the ring.
I didn't like that story, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was one of my least favorite, but actually,
Okay.
I like the Dark
it's-
Side story the best. So just so you know,
Dark Side is probably a 1 and 1A. But I'll explain
And
why I like Green Lantern later.
overall, we will give it a 3.25. All right. So for my next person I would like to pick to review, I'm gonna go with TM.
no one ever picks me. I feel like the kid that never gets picked.
There you go.
That's so sad. Okay.
All right. So there was 5 stories in this book. I'm gonna just start with like the first one, Communion, where I love the story. I loved how we get the backstory of like how it affected these people when Doomsday kind of did his thing back in the day. I didn't like the art though. The art was the one that took me away from the story a little bit, but I really liked the story. I really liked how it showed a lot of the story, a lot of the effects on the people. And that was Communion, Showdown. The first half of it, I wasn't into it, but once it got like going, like to the second half of the story with Doomsday, I absolutely loved it, and it probably has the best art in the book, in my opinion, for the Dark Side story. And it's always cool to see Doomsday and Dark Side go head to head. Was it? Yeah, that was Showdown.
That was the second one. Yep.
Yeah, the third one. Some say in Fire. Another one where I really like the art in this story, and I love the story of the Kundaians. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I like the fact
it's pronounced Kund. I know it's hard to say, most people, but if you call them Kund, that's fine.
Cunt?
Yeah, it's actually the KH. It's the KH sound. And according to they made their debut against the Legion, and according to the Legion book at the time, it was pronounced like the German Ich Hund. Like that's what the KH is for. But if you call them Kunds, most people will know what you're talking about.
I like this story too. Like you have the whole two factions going head to head against each other, and then Doomsday is coming in and just taking down the Reds and the Blacks. But then they're just like, oh, our enemy of
together.
Yeah, our enemy of our enemy. Yeah.
Enemy.
So
The enemy
they
is
end
our
up working
friend.
together. Yeah, that's the saying I was trying to get to. And I like the story of that as well. Moving into the Blackest Night, this is the one I didn't really enjoy that much. I'm not a huge Green Lantern fan. That might be why. I didn't enjoy the story that much. I know it's like kind of like saying the history of a certain character, and it was kind of weird. It's just like, oh, it was my uncle who told me this story, and he was the greatest Green Lantern. Like, he had nothing to do with the story at all. And then there's just like shoot in there. It was kind of weird, but
yeah, that's a good that's a good point, TM. Go ahead, D. What were you going to say?
Like, if you look at what those people, what the person looks like telling the story, they're descendants of this Green Lantern.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was just
Like,
saying that kid was there watching. He didn't really do much, but he saw it, right, D?
no. Like the Green Lantern that gets killed in the beginning of the story is a
Yeah.
descendant of the people telling the story towards the end of it.
Yes.
But
Right.
But
They're
then
the
they're
same. They're the
talking
same
about
race.
yeah. I
But it was
guess.
passed down by their uncle, who is still alive, is what
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
saying.
So she was proud of her great grandfather just for being there,
He was
TM.
not there.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, TM.
Your uncle is Tomar Ray, the bird-looking guy, the bird-looking
Yes.
Green Lantern.
Yes. Tomoray.
And then the last story, Requiem, it was just it was just there, I guess. I didn't like it until the last panel where Superman comes in. And I didn't enjoy the art in that one either. So overall, story-wise, like, I would have to give it a good 3.
What was the? You would start with cover, though.
Cover,
Yeah.
sorry. Cover, I absolutely love a cover.
Yeah.
Doomsday on it, and that, and like how it's angled for the year 1 and Doomsday. So I'd have to give it a 3.5.
Right.
Mhm.
Nice.
Story, I'll have to give it a 3.
Okay.
Art inside, the bad outweighs the good. Like, there's a lot of good art in there. Like the like I said, which story? Some say In Fire and Showdown have the best art. The rest is just okay. So I'd have to give the interior a 2.
Okay.
And so overall, 3.
Nice. Thank you, TM.
I'll pick Alan.
Thank
Okay.
you. I know somebody picks me. Somebody picks
Very
me.
well done, TM.
Okay. So.
Oh shit! Here we go. Hold on.
What?
There we go. Sorry.
No. I was now I'm small again.
No, you're
No,
big.
you're big again.
It always does this to me. I don't know.
It's so weird when you're on my channel. It does this. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't have a lot of the context. Like, I think I read like the Death of Superman like early 90s, like when it came out. I mean, it's been a while, so I don't really remember the story. So a lot of the context I was kind of missing. But I think DC has always been good at providing context to stories so that you can just jump right into whatever story it is and kind of know what's going on. So I kind of gathered that, like, for example, the guy with the cap, that his, that Superman had saved his family. They gave that as like a couple lines where they explained his connection to Superman.
Well, he's grown up now. He was a teenager. So
I get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the point is, one thing that I found that this story was really like rinse and repeatish, and where each story is like, oh, they encounter Doomsday, he kind of blows everything up. Oh, we got to get him off the planet. The planet blows up. Rinse and repeat to the next story where it's the same thing again. I feel like that's kind of the way each story transitioned, where it's like it's almost like there's this problem that we got to get rid of, and we just send it out into space. It reminds me of, like, do you remember those old commercials, Matt, where they would throw waste into the ocean, and they say, "Oh, it's the ocean. It'll be okay." It'll be okay. It's an old Canadian ad that we'd have. TM, you must have seen it too, probably. But where does it go? It goes away. Just that sort of what they treated Doomsday as is just sort of like, oh, we'll just let the universe deal with him. I like the first story, the second story, I guess it is, with Darkseid. In a way, I kind of wanted to see them actually fight a little bit.
bro.
It's like, well, you build it all up, and then he just turns his back on him. It's the first time Darkseid turned his back on somebody. It's like, okay. But I would have liked to have seen just a little bit of confrontation, like a battle there. And I felt like that was a bit of a letdown. And I felt like I was like sort of waiting for something. I felt like I was waiting for something in this instead of just seeing Darkseid bounce from one planet to the other. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, somebody does like a trip across the country, right? And they say, I visited blah, blah, blah cities along the way. And it's like, who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? You're now in my city, and that's all I cared about. It's like, it just felt like that to me. It just felt like, this kind of stuff that I didn't really care about. Sorry to be an anti-Doomsday guy here. So I'm going to be kind of critical about that. With all that in mind, I'm sort of critical about this comic. So for me, the cover, I'm going to give it like a 2. It doesn't have a sexy girl on the cover, so it's pretty hard for me to kind of give it.
Look at that.
I was gonna say, like, Doomsday is pretty damn sexy, man.
I found him he looks kind of, I don't know, he looks kind of squished and not really, I don't know. There's better Doomsday
His
covers.
aesthetic is sick as fuck. I mean, there ain't really much arguing against that.
For me,
Go
this
ahead.
cover was like, I didn't really like this cover. Maybe it's the blues too. I found it kind of, I don't know. He didn't look
It's
badass.
not the greatest Doomsday cover. It's okay. I'm not mad at the score.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it a 2. Sorry, guys. The interior art was really wonky. There was so many times where the faces were kind of like wonky, and I could tell like the layouts weren't bad. It was just that the art was wonky. It was weird. So I'm going to give the interior art a 2 as well.
Okay.
So and then the writing, again, like I feel like there was missed opportunities, and then there was just it wasn't that. It was a quick read, sure, but it wasn't like an exciting read. Even like there was even the stuff with the Green Lantern Corps, because they had to tell so many different little stories. When he fought the Green Lantern Corps, I would have liked to have seen more of an epic battle there, and I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity.
Not enough pages.
Yeah, a couple more pages would have just really fleshed that story out a bit more. I felt like it was just sort of, and then, instead of like a real story there. So for me, the writing was about a 2. I just, okay. And I'm actually going to be harsh on this book. Usually I say, things are greater than the sum of their parts, but because of all these kind of elements, I'm actually going to give the score as a 1.5 overall, where it's actually pulled down by the sum of its parts. Because I actually thought the Doomsday story had real potential. And then had they made that the whole thing, I would have really liked it. That could have been the whole book. They could have like really fleshed that out, but they didn't. And I feel like because of the fact that they had to tell so many stories, it actually reduced the quality of each of the stories. If that makes sense.
No, I appreciate your attention to detail, and that you're not.
I'm a little bit brutal. Sorry on this one.
No, you're not scared to give your honest opinion. So, who would you like to go next?
I'll go with Matt.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to ask to go last.
Oh, okay. Then I'll go with D. I always meant to go with D first. There. Okay.
I would also like to ask to go last. I'm kidding. I don't give a fuck.
No, I have my reasons.
All right, they're fine.
I think D will balance me out anyway, so it'll be good.
Well, no, I'm not super high on this book. Like, I do enjoy it. I like the book, but grading it is different. I'm going to point out some art things. In this panel right here, what the fuck?
In this panel here, TM Nerdy takes over.
Yeah,
right.
it keeps like teaching out where.
Yeah,
you're small right now for me.
No, I'm big now. But so this panel with that Mitch kid, right?
Yeah,
This is like
it's
a year after Doomsday did his attack. Dude looks like he's like 280 pounds.
I know he's really
Uh,
big.
he's a scrawny kid though. Um,
Oh,
and he's scrawnier in other pages. So
Can I
that's
point something out? I just want to. This is a '95 book. The Superman's death was '92, so I think it's like 3 years later, isn't it?
this was meant to be like a 1 year anniversary. Like
Okay, fair
they're
enough.
coming up on.
Fair enough.
But yeah. So the art in the first story is very odd, but I like the story a lot.
Yeah.
I like the fact that um the story was the death of Superman, but he Doomsday rampaged across the entire country of
hmm
America. So he ruined a lot of lives. He
yeah.
destroyed a lot of things. So um in a world full of superheroes, these people are like marching towards the hole that he crawled out of to try and like
hmm
reclaim their identity. I like that. And I
Yeah,
also
that was good.
I really like the fact that Superman showed up to acknowledge them,
hmm
and give them like their flowers, so to speak. To he helped de-escalate the situation between the soldiers and the crowd, and then he wanted to hear them talk, and then he told them a story, and then it goes right into the dark side story, which to me is also the highlight of this book. um Storytelling is the best in this part of the story, and the art is
Is the
fantastic.
best too. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Dan Jurgens' art and storytelling. So um
Yeah, I
it
thought that story had the best art. I wish the other stories were as capably done.
the story after this one has good art, but it's
Yeah.
Dan Jurgens is still the star.
hmm
um and uh and there's a lot of ads in this book. I love the Doomsday splash page. um
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I always felt Dan Jurgens draws Doomsday better than any other artist. So that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's
if
definitely drawn the best in
if it
this
was
story.
based on that story, I would have given the interior art like a 3 or a 3.5.
yeah, absolutely.
So
And I love the dark side fear. Like that
Mhm.
is
yeah, he did it well. Yeah.
it, and it shows how scary Doomsday is. When or Darkseid watches Doomsday rip someone apart, and all of a sudden Darkseid is like, "Oh, damn, that ain't good." But
hmm
in the next panel, it makes Darkseid look tough. Like he's afraid, but he still goes towards him and tries to thwart him, which
hmm
is really cool. Like I like that a lot. Um, and we didn't get to see them battle in this book, but you do get to see them fight in Hunter Prey. And this
Yeah.
came out, the book came out after Hunter Prey. This story is before Hunter Prey. So you get to see what happens when they fight in Hunter Prey.
hmm
Um, but
Yeah,
I think it
Darkseid
was,
gets his ass kicked.
it gets handed to him. But and it's cool because like this is like a younger dark side. He doesn't want to use his omega beams.
he wants to fight hand
Yeah,
in hand, and yeah.
yeah, he wants to go full out with them, and they're of equal size, so it's understandable why Darkseid would think that it's not impossible to beat him. Um, but no, this story is cool. I like it a lot. I thought it was kind of cool, like seeing Darkseid like before he's like the ruler of Apocalypse. He's like taking orders from his mom about marrying this chick. But you can still see that he commands fear and respect from people that are even his elders. So I like that a lot. Um, the next story, um, the art in this is not bad either. Like that's a pretty good Doomsday. Um, and it was written by Louise Simonson. So I did enjoy the story a lot. I didn't know anything about the black and red teams in this book, but You didn't need to enjoy the story. I enjoyed how um this guy had no intention of beating Doomsday, but his mission was to lure
Sacrifice.
Doomsday off the planet. And he did it without any hesitation.
Yeah,
It was all
and just look
go ahead.
at how he's drawn as well. Like that's what I mean. Like this story had like great art too. It's like he's drawn fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he had the
no,
cool suit. Yeah.
yeah, no. The story had great art, and I loved how like he's dying in in these panels, right? He's outmatched, he's getting crushed, and he's still speaking to his people, like trying to like kind of unite them, like say, hey, together we can do a lot more than we can when we're fighting each other.
Hmm.
And I thought that was cool. I always like a cheap, we can be better story, and this is one of them. So yeah, I like that second story a lot. Um, the Green Lantern story, I do like that one. It wasn't, obviously they had to speed through a lot of it. Like it would be really cool to see like an extended version of how Doomsday with a Green Lantern ring ran through thousands of Green Lanterns and really fucked them all up. But I still enjoyed it. Like the art was not good. Uh, that's rough as fuck. That's very rough. I don't like that.
Mm.
I don't know. The art is not my favorite in this story. But um, and his uh his skeletal structure keeps changing. So in this panel right here, he's got a piece of his exoskeleton protruding from his chest. Can see pretty much goes down to his crotch. In this panel here, it doesn't go past his abdomen. So I don't like inconsistencies like that. That
Mm.
fucks with me a lot. So that made me knock down the art a lot in this book. Um, I didn't like the part where the Guardian died fighting Doomsday. Like, if one Guardian could kick Doomsday off the planet, why didn't all of them attack him at once? They should have been able to melt his ass, pretty much, is what
Well,
I
there
would
was
say.
a thing where
Well,
they said if he worried that if they gave all their powers together, that Doomsday would absorb it and become even more powerful.
Yes, that's mentioned in the text.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of an explanation for that.
yeah. Well, they said he could absorb all the power of the central battery.
And
Not that,
each one of those characters, each Owen, is a battery in its own right. That's why.
correct. But
Hmm.
oh man, like one Guardian can send Doomsday unconscious, hurled through the galaxy. I'd say that, like eight Guardians would be able to atomize some motherfucker. So like I don't care how you write it, like the math doesn't math for me. Um,
Hmm.
and the last story, I didn't hate that story at all. I actually kind of liked it because I do like the Radiant. I like that story that I learned about in Hunter Prey, and Radiant is now relevant again in Superman
Yeah.
books as of
Yeah.
late. Um, so it's kind of cool to read
Oh.
this,
Oh.
like with knowing that, but there is no Doomsday story here. There's one Easter egg that I really liked. So you can see Doomsday. This is what he looked like in Man of Steel 18, his first appearance,
Yeah.
all wrapped
Yeah.
up. And
All
then
wrapped up.
you see the soldiers that are trying to kick him off the planet, or they're dressed the same way.
Hmm.
So it's like a Calatin design. So I like that a lot. And that was a cool little nod to the past. Um, but yeah, eventually, Silver Surfer tells everyone to work together and be better.
See, that's Radiant. See, I told you
Yeah.
guys like Silver Surfer.
But yeah, no, hey, I like the story a lot. I don't know, the cover for me, I'll give that like a 3.5. I want to go higher, but, um, it's a Dan Jurgens cover, so I like that. But the surrounding elements of the cover don't add up to much. It's just Doomsday smashing through something. So it brings it down a little bit, but the art is cool. And Doomsday looks great in my opinion.
Okay.
The interior art, I'm gonna go with like a 1.5. Um, I did
Wow, you were
like,
harsher than me. That's
but I
fine.
had to be like, the the panels like this are in this book.
I know
Yeah.
there's so many wonky ones. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And I
I
thought it
I
was
keep
maybe because I read this, by the way, just to give a little context to my opinion on it. I read this on a PDF where I could zoom in. So
yeah.
I was wondering maybe I'm judging it harshly because when you zoom in, you know, you get that kind of more the wonkiness kind of really shows up. You know what I mean? But I it shows up even for you. So I think it's just wonky
Look
art.
at that. Like I was
Her
zooming in
faces
on
were
this.
like kind of weird. I don't know.
That this one is really bad, but then look at the very next one.
It's
Like,
like all over the place.
yeah, but here's the deal. Like 1.5 is a low score for me. I liked the Dan Jurgens art in this book,
Mm,
and I liked the art from the next story. Those are great, but the other two, like, if you're going to do an ensemble art, book, like,
should
you
be
got to
this.
bring, they
Yeah.
all need to be good.
Bring A games. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so you brought, an A-lister, and then the artist for, and maybe I'm wrong, so forgive me if I'm wrong. The artist for the second, for the Some Say in Fire, the artist is Chris Batista. I've never heard of him before, but he does good. It's the red and black tricked him into the spaceship story. He did good. Like,
Mhm.
um, if he did this whole book, I would have given it like a 3-ish, like in that range. Um, but um, man, the surrounding art around those two stories is so bad. 1.5 is all I can do there. Uh, the story, I'll give it 3.5. I like all the stories in this book. None of them are fantastic. None of them are great, but I like the humanity of Superman showing up to like just hang out with survivors of Doomsday, and like that to me is cool. That's one of the things I love about Superman. Um, I like seeing young Darkseid, before he is the Lord of Apocalypse and he's taking orders, but he's still a fucking prick. Um, I like
Mhm.
seeing, the red and black team. I forget what, how do I say it, Matt?
The Kuns. But just say
The
Kun.
Kungs. Yeah,
The
Yeah.
the
Huns.
Kungs.
The
I
Huns.
like seeing that story.
Okay, it's Khund. So Kuns.
Yeah, I like
Huns.
that story a lot. I didn't know anything about the Kungs before that, but um, I liked seeing how that story ended. And then, dude, the Green Lantern story was fun for me too. It wasn't. It didn't have enough pages and it needed more, but it was still like I understood what happened. Doomsday wrecked shop for a long time, and a Guardian sacrificed himself to make sure that the planet Oa didn't get destroyed. Um, so, and then the last one with the Radiant was okay. Basically, like that story was reminiscent of the first story, where people were marching on the site, and
Yeah.
the soldiers are telling them to get the fuck out of there, and
I thought
then
it was like a
the
parallel, very much so.
yeah, it was very very parallel to that. And I almost think that was probably deliberate, but
Hmm.
it was not deliberate enough if that's what they were doing, and it wasn't good enough. Like the first story would have to be a lot better for it to earn that. Hey, let's do a parallel later in this book to tie that into a ribbon. So, or into a bow. So, that first story wasn't good enough to deserve a parallel later in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So story, I'm going to give a 2.5. But that's me grading it. I still like the book a lot. So overall, I'll give it, I'll give the book a 2.5.
Right.
And I wanted to give it higher because my bias wants to grade the book higher, but I could not out of good conscience.
All right.
USA, baby.
Okay, just to give you a context, Chris Bautista was the regular artist on the Steel comic at the time that came out.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Like, so he was working at DC for a bit. He's actually been at DC for like 15 years.
Wow.
Okay, this was in some of his early work because he started with Steel 1 and moved on from there. So now here's where the DC nerd in me kicks in and why I asked to go last. The first story was completely full of Easter eggs to Death of Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've read it and you've read it well and you have a good memory, you pretty much remember where everybody was.
Unlike me.
Yeah. The second story fit there because it referenced Hunter Prey because Darkseid fought him again.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned about meeting him before.
Yeah.
So we got the context on that.
Okay.
So again, DC Easter egg nerd here.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Now,
cool.
Story number 3 about the Kuns. The Kuns made their first appearance in the same book that Jim Shooter wrote for the first time. Jim Shooter created the Kuns they were the villain in his first story where they had the 4 new Legionnaires. Then they were created as a warrior race that was united against the galaxy. Over the course of the years in the Legion, you learn more about them, and you learn the story about how this guy managed to unite the warring clans fighting a big menace. That's all they ever said. So whoever wrote all this stuff knows their DC lore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then here comes the DC nerd in me. The Green Lantern story. Tomar Ray was Krypton's Green Lantern when it exploded.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So him being there with talking about Kryptonian beasts made sense. But also, again, you follow the Guardians, like in Green Lantern, they talk about a time when a Guardian, the only Guardian to ever die, had gave up his life to save the Oa.
And now this gives that context.
Now this gives you the context of it. So as a DC nerd, I'm all over it. I'm like, oh my God, this is that, this is that, this is that.
Mm.
Which brings us to the last story, which referenced Hunter Prey. You know, again, and I agree with D, they're bringing Radiant back. So these stories have a little more cachet to them for me now.
But just Radiant was his first appearance in Hunter Prey. Was that where he made his first appearance? Okay.
Yes. So
it was Armageddon. It was Armageddon.
Yes. He was there. Exactly. He was there too. Like the Armageddon. He was like.
Well, the first appearance of Radiant was Armageddon. We went through this.
Yes, he's right. Yes, he's right. He's right. They brought him into the story where they gave him an origin. That's it.
Whoa. I want more details on that. I really thought it was Hunter Prey.
No, remember, D, I sent you the book. It's the one. It's 2000 Armageddon.
Yes, he was involved in that.
Actually,
we all got the book after we did the review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to talk about the scores.
Sorry, Matt.
That's fine. The writing overall as a DC nerd and seeing all these stories that were referenced, as again, it's because I'm a longtime DC reader and I know a lot of this stuff. And I wouldn't expect people to know this. This is a personal thing. I'm going to actually give the book a 3.5 from the writing because everybody sort of referenced something that had happened before and made it so that it tied in. And by the way, I'm not wrong. I did it like I do every week. I went to a synopsis and double checked. And sure enough, every one of my memories was
spot on.
Was there. I just couldn't remember necessarily the Green Lantern story, and the synopsis gave me the. But here, that you've got all that. Then, so 3.5 for the writing. I know I'm doing the writing first. I'm sorry. Now the cover, I don't like it. That's a 1.5.
Oh wow. Okay. I always think it's impressive when people give lower scores than me.
The interior art, however, I want to give for the good parts. I want to give them a 4, but the shitty parts bring it down, and I can't describe it any other way. So I'm going to give the interior art a 2.5 overall. It's a 3.5 to the story, but the book, agree. I want to give this book a really high score because I really enjoyed it as a comic fan, but as a comic book, it's no better than a 2.5.
Okay.
So that was all the scores. So we got a total of. Oh no, hold on. I need. Okay, sorry. Let me go back to groups chat. Now we could all talk about it. Hey, D, I need your first 2 scores because I had to jump from my phone to my computer, and it was not keeping track. So I need your cover and your inside art.
Inside art, I know I gave a 1.5.
Okay.
I think 3.5 for the cover, wasn't it?
Maybe a 3.5 for the cover. Hey, I want what I said originally to stick, but I don't remember what I said.
There's one thing, by the way.
What the fuck am I supposed to do? I need the cover score. I can't just. That's the last score.
I don't remember what I said. It was either 3 or 3.5.
Okay, I'll go look.
You gotta watch us talk.
Yeah, you guys just talk about the book, and
okay.
I'll figure
One quick question, and I just don't remember, and you guys can trig my memory, like bring my memory back. How did Superman actually defeat Doomsday?
He beat the crap out of him. He just pounded him. He
pretty much broke his neck with a punch, with a
I
double.
Remember that, but I feel like something more should have been done because if all these other, if a whole Green Lantern Corps couldn't take him out, doesn't make sense that Superman could take him out.
But Superman, it wasn't just one punch that killed Doomsday. They were fighting for a long time. Like Doomsday was getting fucked up just as much as Superman was. Doomsday just doesn't show it as much. He doesn't have organs inside of his body. Like
he doesn't
he's
have
more.
Blood, he doesn't have the.
Yeah. Didn't we read the death of Doomsday?
No.
Well, the Hunter Prey kills him off too, but yeah, it's we did not read the death of Superman.
Didn't we do Death of Doomsday too? I don't know. I feel like we did somehow. But I just feel like, the whole time when I'm reading this book, I felt like, how the hell is Superman going to beat him later on? Because if anything, Doomsday should be even more powerful and just be.
Except if you remember about Doomsday, he can only die the same way once. No one had actually beaten the crap out of him.
Okay. That's true.
So
he has to die a different way each time based on the Hunter Prey story.
Radiant killed him with energy projection. Superman killed him by
pummeling
him to death, and Superman also died the same exact way. But here's the thing, though. I'm trying to look up Doom's or Radiant appearances before the most recent issues in the 2024, 2025. He was in Countdown to Final Crisis, Doomsday Annual Volume 1, which we just read, and then he was in Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey Volume 1, issue 2 and 3. That was it. Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey issue 2 was
maybe
Radiant's first appearance.
Armageddon with the other guy.
We have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we were thinking of Wave Rider.
Yeah, Wave Rider. Yes, that's it.
Wave
yes.
Rider. Okay,
Yes.
so Radiant did make his first appearance in Hunter
Yes.
Prey. Okay, that sounds more right to me.
Yeah.
Because I actually felt like I actually liked Hunter Prey quite a lot. The part with Radiant, I thought, wow, this is such a cool character, and then he gets defeated. It was just kind of a shock in a way. You know, I thought Radiant had real potential as a character.
There's a story in 1972, and this is why I know that Tomar Ray was Krypton's Green Lantern. Okay? The Guardians are sitting around talking about it because they had fully intended to make Kal-El the Green Lantern when Tomar Ray passed away. Wow. Kal-El was going to be next in line. Him not being on Krypton because it blew up meant he was in another sector and he got his own powers and other things. So that threw off the Guardians' plans for him.
Oh wow! So Superman could have been the Green Lantern?
They talk about that Superman would have been the Green Lantern for Sector 218, 2813, which apparently is the sector number for Krypton.
Wow.
Earth is 2014.
The Green Lanterns did offer Superman a ring.
Yeah.
When he was depowered for a year.
Yes.
And that was kind of fun. He turned it down though, but he did put it on and have the power for a minute.
So he's got the willpower for it. Like, I mean, they said he had no Superman has no fear, and he was very pure of heart. They said, and that's why they wanted to.
The total was 52. It was a 3.5 for cover.
Okay.
All right. I overall didn't expect y'all to like it that much. I thought that it wasn't as good as Hunter Prey. It is a good. Now we know all of Doomsday's origin, though. Like, there's nothing we missed besides Armageddon.
It does fill in a lot of gaps.
We might need to do like Death of Superman.
You said 52 even, right?
Yes.
Okay. It is the 5th worst score of our.
Yeah, it's really low.
But I do love the book. Like, I don't care what the score is. I graded this book worse than other books that I like less, if that makes sense. Like,
I can understand.
I still want. I read this book once in a while. It's not like I reread it. I don't
hate this book. Like, even with my scores, I didn't hate this book. I thought it was okay. I mean, it was readable.
For the record, I did score it the highest, so I love Superman the most.
That's not true.
Facts.
Well, I mean, it is true. It's very true. Who's next? D?
Yeah,
dude, I did not come prepared for this. Fuck it. Man of Steel 18.
Man of Steel 18.
Superman Man of Steel number 18.
What's
First
that?
appearance of Doomsday.
I need that book.
First full appearance of Doomsday.
Yeah.
I have that book in a 9.8.
Appearances of Doomsday.
There are 4 appearances of Doomsday before this book, but they recap all of them in the first page of Man of Steel 18. We'll be okay.
Okay.
It's him punching through a metal wall. We'll figure it out.
I actually have that out.
I have that book somewhere, but I'm not sure if it's handy.
Pretty sweet.
Mine's packed away, but I have that in 9.8 because of Callie.
TM, I also have a 9.8 of that one. I need to finish my Death of Superman 9.8 run. I got a few more I need to get. So yeah, it's that's what we're doing next. Fuck it.
I'm looking forward to that.
Getting the Doomsday truck rolling. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I got my dinner here. Sorry that I was in and out during the stream. My internet.
Whoa. What the fuck are you having for dinner? That's what I need to know about.
Oh man, check this out.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
I've got it at the back there. I'm not going to go through 200 books at the moment.
Mine's in 3D too. Look.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa, whoa! Nice.
Okay.
I got this. I got a bacon
I
cheeseburger.
like that better.
Oh wow, that's probably better.
You got two of them,
I do. Yeah.
you bastard.
Hey
Hey,
man.
one for me, one for you.
Appearance of the bacon
Yeah.
cheeseburger in the DC world was.
Man of cholesterol.
So,
Issue
by the way,
55.
how many of these triangle
Right.
issues were there? Matt,
Huh?
you know.
Each year there were 48 to 52, depending on the year.
48 or 52 of them, and how many years did they do it?
91 to 2001, and 2002, and in 2002 they only did 6, and then they stopped the
So there
triangle.
must
Man,
be,
this is
wow.
I have
that's
a
lot
full
of-
list. I have a full list.
of the triangle issues.
this is going to, I hope this just don't keep going and going because we're starting my favorite story in comic books, like Death
I'm
and
going to derail
Return.
it, so don't worry.
Yeah. Death and Return's the best, dude. Like the issue after this is good. The issue after, dude, these are some of the best issues of comics, bro. Starting right here.
I made myself an Excel sheet in the order of as I bought them. I put them on the Excel sheet because I wanted to be able to say because you know how they mix the stories, right? So I wanted to be able to say, oh, this is the second part of the story. Which one is the first? Oh, okay, there it is. You know.
I remember as a kid, I kind of started around Death, and of course, Death is not the first Doomsday. So I always just like, man, I wish I could have got them earlier issues. So I started Death and got all of Reign. Never was able to get the previous stuff before Death. So it's kind of cool shit. But all right, man. Collector Club Friday. Me and Dee did a hangout, and I'm asking you guys to what?
I didn't know you guys hung out on Friday.
No, we did a hangout and we talked about what we're going to do on Club.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to ask all y'all to bring some of your favorite Superman comics.
Oh,
Kind of,
Okay.
yeah, I know Matt just did that too, but that D came up with the idea, and of course we want to start with Superman. So we're
I will
going to.
not be bringing anything. Everything I have is packed.
Okay, well, you could just hang out. And then we're going to do a 2-part show. I'm going to do a giveaway, and the second part is going to be we're going to list off like some of the best runs in comic books, and we will mention our favorite books, like 5 to 10 of them. So I'll explain more on Club, but just for now, just bring some cool Superman books. And we're all going to take turns kind of showing books and talking about them.
Hmm.
Does that sound boring to you, Alan? You're like emotionless.
No, I'm just looking at my copy of this. It's actually quite good. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think I could get a 9.8 on this one. Is this a valuable book?
It's not a cheap book.
The DC Universe variant is the one that everybody
Everyone wants?
The DCU is a lot more rare than the Newsy or Direct. Yeah, there's actually an issue before it that kind of looks like a Swamp Thing homage that I like
Is it
too.
on the back that you see if it's a DC Universe?
No, it's right at the front.
It's in the little UPC thing.
Doomsday is kind of like Wolverine. There's 15 first appearances,
So mine, I think mine's the direct.
that's the main one. That's like Hawk
Yeah, that's a
181.
direct.
So sad. I don't have.
Yeah, I don't
needs
have
now.
the DCU one. I know Papa Wheelie always is just like, hey ATM, look at
And
what
then
I
he'll-
got, and then shows
And
it.
then he's DC Universe.
All right.
James and Midhunter Comics collects those DCU ones.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap up. Catch y'all. Oh, D's got the 9.8 going. Oh,
Very nice.
shit.
Oh,
I'm
that's
about
a
to leave
newsstand
studio.
too.
Oh, look at that! I don't have the newsstand.
I'll make you big in a.
How much does that go for, D? Roughly.
It's like 150 or around that area. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's not okay. It's pricey, but not
It's
that pricey.
it's still a really great cover.
I paid $30 for my Canadian for my copy, 12 or 11 or 12 years ago, but it hasn't gone up much since. So.
We're gonna all of us talking about it will make it go to the moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anybody got anything they want to promote before we go? There's only 3 people in here, not much promotion, but
Tomorrow's unboxing show should be good on my channel.
cool.
Are you sure you don't want this one? There's 17.
I like that one a lot, bro.
Isn't
I
that
heard that.
his first
That's
I heard
cameo?
that in a
Cameo.
That one might be worth a little bit more, actually.
It is. I paid more
Yeah.
for this one. I paid
Yeah.
So wait, number 17 is more valuable than 18?
Oh, I think so.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, D just is like, here, hold my beer.
Yeah. I didn't know you had that, D. That's cool.
I think they're worth about the same. Actually, it's not, and it's this
Well,
is not like, yeah.
I admit
But
my
he's not on
copy
the
of
cover.
17
I think
is
the
better,
cover should be a bigger one.
You know the Swamp Thing issue I'm thinking of, Alan, that like kind of looks like that? It's like Bernie Wrightson art a
Yeah,
little
there's
bit.
one that looks exact. I was gonna say, yeah, it reminds me of Swamp.
Ain't that
Thing
weird?
cover. I
Yeah.
actually have
So-
it, but I just don't have it handy.
Doomsday in this book, his first appearance is his fist hitting a wall. It's not like Hulk 180 where you see a full Doomsday talking shit to the Hulk. So, but what I like about this book is on the back, it has some great advice for you. Get a monster bone.
Wow.
Yeah,
I bet the other Doomsday is like the brain surgery one too, right?
it is.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, monster
Wow.
bone and brain surgery.
Transplant.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
That's cool.
Well,
All
we're
right,
out of here.
Biggie's burger is getting cold, man. We gotta let
It
him get
is,
to that
dude.
shit.
Every minute goes by. All right. Yeah.
All I'll say is, if you guys have not watched the studio on Apple TV, go watch it. It's really good.
What is it?
The studio.
Oh, yeah, I was actually debating about watching that. That's with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Right?
And it gives you a good idea of how studios are run and how sometimes they make terrible decisions.
Like for the last few years, they've been doing that.
Fascinating. All right, guys. Catch y'all later. Thanks for coming.
Okay,
Hashtag. Shit, I was about ready to leave studio. That'd been our 10 minutes of crap. All right.